welcome everyone to the Dataquest viewers. This is our latest in our DQ 40 years specials where we get industry leaders to talk about current ICT trends and the future leading up to India 2047. So this time we have with us Sriram Lakshminarayan, President and Chief Technical Officer at Tata Technologies. Welcome, Sriram.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you so much. Lovely to be part of this.
Yeah. So I think I'll get straight to it. I think the pandemic is behind us, but the effect of the pandemic is still here. The pandemic saw a sea change. What kind of digital transformation took place in India, and are we ready for Industry 4.0? So maybe if you can just speak something about that.
Um, absolutely, I think you're spot on. In fact, one of the things that the pandemic had given an opportunity, I would say, is it has expedited the pace of digital transformation, not only just in India, across the world, and India being the tip of the arrow when it comes to it. So I'll elaborate a bit on it. So for example, if you look at the industries that we at Tata Technologies focus on, right? I mean, we are not in all the industries. We are in automotive, aerospace, and industrial heavy machinery, which are your earth moving equipments, agricultural equipments, the heavy trucks and commercial vehicle, right? Now, all of these, if you look at it, there are two, three things that were a big challenges because of pandemic. One is workers were not able to come to the factory, and hence work was impacted. People had challenges in terms of supply chain traceability and things like that. And particularly when it comes to automotive industry, people were worried about going to dealership, and buying vehicles have started slowing down. Now, so what is that the customers were looking for because of it, right? One is, if you look at it from a vehicle buying standpoint,
Right.
I think people were looking at more and more of no touch, everything digital, and how do I buy it? So the retail of the future, which is all about bringing in a digital customer experience, wherein which you can have a virtual showroom type of a thing, you can do everything that you would do in terms of customizing your car, maybe a virtual driving setup, and all sorts of things that associated with it, including identifying the finance to it. So the whole digital customer experience has taken a significant focus on it, right? And we have also been pioneering around that in terms of what is happening. I'll talk a bit about what we have been doing, but that is one change to it. The second change from a pandemic standpoint as a part of Industry 4.0 is the whole thing about supply chain resiliency, bringing in the track and trace, and also usage of technology in the shop floor, right? Wherein which, how do I minimize worker interface, and wherever there is possible, how do I bring in technologies like AI and 5G, Edge, whatever it is, to the forefront, and then I can do this, right? So those are the two broader transformation that had started happening because of pandemic, right? Particularly on the industries that affect us on a day-to-day basis. When it comes to Tata Technologies, so what we have is, if you look at digital customer experience, we have built in something called as Power of 8, which is nothing but 8 different modular solutions that addresses enhancing customer experience right from the time where people are interested in vehicle purchase to the after sales part of it, right? Like 4 solutions are for the pre-sales part of it, in terms of lead generation, in terms of whole CRM associated with it. How do I bring in that whole vehicle experience digital, right? And then the other 4 related to the after sale part of it. In fact, we have our own digital studio where we can demonstrate all of these things, using an mixed reality glass, and you can configure your car. You can get almost like a touch and feel type of a thing, right? So that is happening from our side, and I think this is a big transformation that is going to continue as well, right? When it comes to the Industry 4.0, or the factory of the future, the smart manufacturing, what we call it as, how do I bring in supply chain resiliency? How do I talk about visual inspection through AI? We have our own solutions as well, something like Visimatic. We have our solutions for factory called as Amplified IoT. All of it is because there is a need, right? Our business is all about what the transformation that is happening. So in summary, Sunil, I think while there is so much of negativity around the pandemic, I think one of the things that it had helped is significantly expediting the digital transformation journey. And more importantly, it has debunked some of the myth about distributed agile, wherein which teams have to be only local and all. Now people are embracing the distributed agile philosophy, and hence it is a significant opportunity for India because everything can happen out of remote centers, and that is where skill at scale comes into play. Actually.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it was absolutely momentous changes, and the digitization was unheard of. But I think, there are still have-nots, and digitization probably should reach 100%. For those who are still not convinced what kind of value proposition digital technology gives to the enterprises, which are yet to maximize their benefits, what would you say to them? Because I think even those who haven't adopted it also require.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're absolutely right. So the naysayers are always there, or because even if you look at the pyramid of the customers, there are a certain percentage of it who are, so to say, the innovator bracket, right? I mean, first to try it out, but the majority of it is wait and watch, right? I think we can look at this through two lenses, Sunil. One is the so to say innovators or early adopters have embarked on this, used this opportunity, and then significantly gone in this journey, right? For example, I'm sure that you have seen it with even in Hyundai Motors in India as well. That I mean, they are
Right.
the first ones to come up with, how do I bring in, online vehicle purchase kind of a
Right.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but the major, so the two lenses that I'm looking at it is the first lens is people who are always wait and watch, which is where the bulk of it. I think one of the things that pandemic and also the innovators taking a plunge for them, the proof point is there, and hence they started doing it. So which is a good thing, right? Otherwise, it would have taken some more time for them to get it. And in terms of clear naysayers about certain technical elements and things like that, I think first of all, there's no option. The question is
Yeah.
how much appetite do you have to try out certain things, right? So more often or not, people will at least start off with a point solution type of thing. So for example, uh, I was talking about Visimatic, right? Which is nothing but our visual inspection in the shop floor, our own solution, which uses the deep learning, machine learning type of thing. So if a product needs to be inspected, so you have a camera-based AI solution which takes in information, and then it tells you whether it is properly done or it is not done instead of a manual thing. So there are parts of it where people are trying it out because most often or not, if you look at it, Sunil, I'm sure that you've been following this industry for a very, very long time, right? 10 years ago, anything and everything people were thinking about, oh, I need a mobile app for this, right? For
Mm.
every problem
Right.
statement.
Right.
I think the reason for that is because people thought that that is the way of digital transformation. So it was more of a digital entry point.
Right.
But right now, they're picking on specific nuances that are important for them because it is very easy to say, uh, smart manufacturing industry 4.0 or factory of the future. Factory of the future means some 7 8 components need to come together, right? And this whole journey might take about 2 to 3 years. But more often or not, for you to start on it, it is important to pick on a use case or a simple solution to your question in terms of how do we entice them to move in this journey. And that is what we are doing with our customers to go to them and say, hey, here is our power of eight solution. You don't have to take all of it. Can you try out one of it to address the most important problem? Here is Visimatic, here is AMP.iot. And once that starting point happens, then they may look at it to say that instead of a piecemeal, can I look at an integrated end-to-end solution?
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing I've noticed it so far, you have mentioned AI many times. So AI, so probably we have entered the AI age, and that's one of the questions on everyone's minds. In this
Yeah.
era of Chat GPT, GPT-4, and other technologies, how can AI be used to advance business growth? Because as you say, AI has been used in business growth, and GPT has caught the, imagination, the zeitgeist of the times. But I think now it's further going to, advance business growth. So if you can
Yeah.
expand on that.
No, you're right. I mean, see, ChatGPT or any other thing for that matter, right? I mean, there are new things that are going to come up, right? I mean, it's just now we started hearing ChatGPT, and now suddenly we are talking of ChatGPT 4, right? So
Right.
it's going. So the one constant is the evolution of technology that is going to happen. But if you look at the underlying principle of whether it is ChatGPT or any of it is all about natural language processing. It's all about bringing in like a human interface type of thing, because all of us have seen this in our day-to-day life where there is a chatbot that is there and you try to interact and you get frustrated, right? In the past,
Right.
where in which after two or three questions you realize that it doesn't understand you, right? And then it becomes you either exit out of it or it just keeps on giving you the same options that it was fed in. So as a part of evolution, I think today it is chat GPT, tomorrow maybe something else. But as I said, I think the underlying principle is the human-like interface, and then more importantly, how does it learn over a period of time, right? Because and the applicability of it goes beyond, because earlier people were always looking at some of these human interaction like learning systems more from a help desk standpoint,
Right.
more from a business process outsourcing type of things or standard queries and stuff like that. I think the evolution now is it has gone into the heart of manufacturing itself, which people would not have thought about it, right? That is why today everybody talks about visual inspection. Visual inspection in a shop floor and any activity that happens at the shop floor to the top floor today, if you look at it, people are looking at how do I bring in an AI solution into it, right? And for that matter, if you look at the customer experience part of it as well, many of the connected solutions today, right? So, for example, if you're driving your car and then because of fatigue and you slightly doze off, or there your eyelids keep moving, and it moves, there is a general closure of eyelids, and then but there is a fatigue closure, right? So there are systems and sensors that are there in today's car, wherein which you are able to that is able to sense it, and then it is able to interpret and do an image recognition and to see that is this a fatigue one, if so then how do I give an alarm, and if not, in an ADAS world, how do I slow down a car? So I think it's gone to a significant level, and so be it ChatGPT, be it AI, 5G, edge, the reason for all of it is particularly in the industries that we serve in. If I were to look at that lens, Sunil, automotive is early adopter of many of it, right? Even in industries like aerospace, the whole MRO process, right? Maintenance, repair, and overhaul. People are looking at wherever possibility. How do I bring in AI into it? Because when somebody has to do certain task repetitively, they are looking at augmented reality. They are looking at AR, VR type of a thing. So it tells you step by step instruction. More importantly, it learns on the job and then it can help better. So the bottom line is technologies are going to keep evolving, but the nature and the applicability of use cases that the technology was solving was not there earlier. It was only limited to certain part of it where there are business non-critical type of applications. Now it is at the heart of it because people trust technology, people trust the evolution of it in terms of solving it in the shop floor, in the aircraft manufacturing part of it, in the heavy equipment industries that we serve in, because these are not something that people would have accepted AI as a solution, a
Right.
couple of years back, actually.
Yeah. So, I mean, all these technologies, maybe you can speak a bit more about it. There's so many other emerging tech like 5G, IoT, Industry 4.0, AR, VR, which you have mentioned about in detail.
Correct,
So, how is all of these going to change the business landscape? It's not just AI. It's going to be a
correct,
merging of all these technologies.
correct. Correct. So if you look at just to contextualize this so that we understand the power of technology, I'll address through the industries that we serve in so that we can contextualize
Right.
this, right? Today, if you look at the industries that Tata Technologies is at, right? Automotive, aerospace, industrial, heavy machinery. There are three problems that these industries are trying to solve. And these three problems are one is enhancing customer experience. Everybody is looking at how do I enhance customer experience at every touch point that I have, right? Be it in the sales part of it, be it in the after sales part of it. The number two part of it is people are looking at reduce operating cost, which is also bringing in operational efficiency, which is bringing in predictability in the system, the track and trace that I talk about it, all of those things. The third broader element is new lines of revenue, right? Which is where your connected solution comes into play. So today, everybody is talking about connected for two reasons. One is there is a connected product which can connect from vehicle to anything, right? Vehicle to your phone, vehicle to your home, vehicle to V2X, as we call it. And then there are services which you can subscribe to it, wherein which you pay for it. So there are additional lines of revenue that come to it, right? So this is the business side of things. Now to support these business side of things, there are 6 major technologies that are driving change. We touched on briefly, but I'll talk about it. One, if you look at it, is cloud. Two is your Industry 4.0 and the associated things is, with. Three, 5G. Four, edge. Five, AI. Six, blockchain, right? So these are the 6 broader technologies that are impacting. Now, if you peel the onion on each one of it, and if you look at it today, the industries today that I spoke about where we are in, and a modern day car today produces about 25 gigabytes of data per hour. So there is significant amount of analytics that is required on all of the data that is coming, the image processing that it needs to have. It doesn't have to be a fully autonomous car, even for an assisted driving type of thing, right? So analytics is a significant focus, and hence obviously cloud comes into it, right? And even in our parlance, when we talk to our customers about digital transformation and supporting them, we talk the language of the business and then say that if you were to try to solve this problem, what is the point solution that we already have? And this is how the amalgamation of technology and business can happen from a cloud and analytics standpoint, which is a big piece of the puzzle, right?
Right.
The second is 5G. Why do we need 5G? Is because particularly on very sensitive business process side of it, you cannot expect to send a signal somewhere and then wait for response for a longer period of time, right? It needs to be at the, particularly in an aircraft thing, right? Where there is a decision that an AI has to make. You got to have the power of 5G to immediately respond back to it, and you cannot have it as buffering type of scenario, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is where 5G and AI comes in. So if you look at it, these are not silos, right? You cannot talk of AI just AI without cloud. You cannot talk of cloud without data. You cannot talk of cloud data, all of it without the power of 5G and edge in the shop floor and things like that. So that is how we see it, right? And that's how the technology is evolving, right? More often or not, people are caught up on the wrong side of it. If you approach a digital transformation through a technology lens, actually, right? Technology, end of the day, is an enabler. Your starting and end point is this is where I am, this is where I wanted to go, right? So, for example, our conversation and our value proposition with our customer is when we talk about Industry 4.0 is we tell the customer to say that everybody wants to get into this Industry 4.0. Everyone wants to talk about factory of the future. Then we have something called as SIRI, SIRI, which is an acronym for Smart Industry Readiness Index. So through this framework, we can determine in terms of your assets and then the to be part of it, where do you want to go? Because different industries and within those different companies have different sets of priorities, right? Some may be extremely focused on electrification. Even the age-old thing, if you look at it, the case model, Sunil, the connected, autonomous, sharing, electrification. If you talk to different car manufacturers or different, heavy equipment manufacturers, they have different sets of priorities. Some of them are number one is electrification. Then in that sense, we can look at it to say that your assets is here. You want it to be here. And for you to go there, these are the 4 or 5 things that you needed to do. And for each of it, what is the point solution that we have? Or how do we bring in an integrated story with all of the technology associated with it? That's how I see technology evolving. That is how our pitch has been, because we are an industry out organization, right? With technology as a wrapper around it, not a technology company try to go and ask the customer to say, I can solve a problem through technology. Technology is an enabler, but you need to speak the language of the business actually.
Right. Okay. So anyway, I think thank you for, I've got all the answers. Thank you for explaining that in such great detail and a very clear summary. You've told from the technology point of view, from the business point of view, from the customer point of view also. So I think that's pretty enlightening and engrossing. So I'll probably end with one bird's eye, question then. So basically now again, it's a talk of like, India has made so much
Yeah.
progress. Whatever you look at UPI, digital goods, whatever it is, the Indian industry. So is India ready to be a tech giant in the road to India 2047? And what more needs to be done by both the industry and government?
Absolutely. I think that is a very pertinent question. So there are 3 parts to this. Today, if you look at the outsourcing revenue of India, we are at like $240 billion, right? This includes IT plus engineering side of it, right?
Right, right,
And if you look at through the lens of engineering services, like ourselves,
right.
engineering services is about 40 billion out of
Yeah,
that 240 billion.
yeah,
Now, this engineering services today deploys about 5.4 million workforce.
yeah.
And last year alone, as per NASSCOM, I think it's 290,000 workforce has been added on the engineering service. And this is expected to grow at 12 to 15% year over year CAGR for the next couple of years. So that
Right,
means we the challenge we needed to understand is it is not the opportunity challenge, it is the supply side of the challenge, right?
yeah,
It is skills at scale. How do we do it, right?
right,
That's the problem that we are addressing, because even with the number that I just mentioned,
yeah,
the majority of the outsourcing still comes from North America market, and hence there
okay,
is significant growth opportunities in Europe and rest of the market. So
right,
there is no there is no opportunity challenge, Sunil, right? So it is the supply side of
got it.
challenge. Now, how do we
Yeah,
address the supply side of the challenge, right? So, for example, I'll first give the broad view of what government and industry is doing, and then
right,
what Tata Technology is doing.
sure,
So, if you look at government is definitely gung-ho about it. That is why government is investing in skills as the Skill India as a huge program,
yeah,
and they are empowering forums and the events that are happening at NASSCOM and all, right? So
right,
NASSCOM is clearly looking at how do they augment and work with industry in terms of building a curriculum that supports
right,
the industry readiness part of it, right? And we are
right,
also partnering with NASSCOM on that. So so there is a focus, there is investment from a government standpoint in terms of NASSCOM is just one example, but there are other avenues that they are trying to do as well, right? And from an industry standpoint, industry is forming consortiums on this. Industry is trying to work directly with universities. In fact, we are also working directly with universities, and the bigger change that had happened is the focus around the ITIs and polytechnic type of things, where you bring in skilled individuals who can be ready to work in a factory, right? And I'm sure that you have seen this from Tata Technologies standpoint as well. We've been working with various governments. I mean, government of Karnataka about 150 ITIs refurbishing and then
right,
putting this whole setup. And there is one in Bangalore near Dairy Circle as well, which is fully operational. We've just signed up with Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Assam. So I mean, the list goes on. So I think from a government and industry standpoint, there is definitely focus, because what industry is looking at it is, I don't have the time to bring somebody from college,
right,
and I don't have the time to wait for another 6 to 9 months to make them productive, right? How do I shorten
true,
the cycle so that way I can start from fifth semester itself. And in terms of hands-on education, how do I bring in, to tie it back to the previous question that you asked? In fact, there are questions that are there. There are initiatives that are being done by Tata Technologies itself, wherein which even with the ITIs, how do I use AI and other technology for somebody to do a virtual paint shop training, virtual crash testing, all of those things? That way, you are minimizing the resource wastages, because the broader agenda we still haven't touched upon it, which is about everybody is looking at sustainability, right? I mean, I think
Yeah.
this is also a major theme around it. So that's on the second part. Now the third part is, if you look at uh, Tata Technologies lens, a purely from the government ITI standpoint, we have this Ready Engineer program. We are also working with, as I mentioned, about many of the government contracts in terms of bringing skill at scale. So that is one piece of the equation. We have our own education platform called as I Get It. We use that platform to bring in training materials and also helping on the corporate side of things for reskilling initiative, right? Because this is extremely important to the point about shortening the timeline without compromising on the quality part of it, right? So thirdly, our own tech varsity, which is a technical university at Tata Technologies, wherein which reskilling and upskilling of resources, because if you tie back all the questions, Sunil, that you asked, technology is constantly evolving. You cannot
Right.
all the time look for new people for our technology, because it has to work like, how do I upskill, reskill the existing people, identifying the adjacent skills that the person today has. How do I work on it? So I think this is where the challenge is. I mean, this is the secret sauce. I mean, you have to bring in significant freshers out of the market, train them quickly. At the same time, the existing workforce has to be constantly trained. And I think we are geared up for it, because the scale that most of the companies are looking at, India is going to be the melting point of everything that happens. So this is going to be the linchpin to the success of the world when it comes to it. So in summary, I think, will we be ready for the 2047 thing? Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you for that. That's quite positive, and I see everybody's gung-ho about technology, and a lot of changes are there. I'm sure even after 6 months, one year we talk, there'd be a whole lot of changes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you for your insights. It was great talking to you.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you so much.